So, hello everyone, and thank you for having me here. I'm Hamid Meziane from Morocco. I'm super excited to participate again in the international conference of ISEC, this time at the University of Worcester, with the topic entitled Integrating Working Memory into Universal, into Universal Design for Learning and Inclusive Education, a Comprehensive Approach. I love to open my presentation with a reference to Gabriel Garcia Marquez. In his novel, 100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez describes a strange plague that invades a tiny village and robs people of their memories. The villagers first lose personal recollections, then the names and functions of common objects. To combat the plague, a man places written labels on every object in his home, but he soon realizes that the futility of this strategy, because the plague eventually destroys even his knowledge of words and letters. This fictional incident reminds us of how important learning and memory are in everyday life. Learning refers to a change in behavior and results from acquiring knowledge about the world, and memory refers to the processes by which that knowledge is encoded, stored, and later retrieved. Learning and memory so are essential to the full functioning and independent survival of everyone. This study aims at exploring possible contributions of working memory abilities to learning problems in the classroom and reviewing the literature on working memory and universal design for learning, highlighting their interconnectedness in inclusive education and exploring the importance of integrating working memory into universal design for learning and proposing a comprehensive approach to achieve this goal. When it comes to classrooms, any student who requires extra support to succeed in a regular classroom is a child who has special education needs. As many children at some point during their school years have special educational needs, it is important to identify the cognitive mechanism and that underlie these learning difficulties. Thank you. In this respect, could you move maybe to the fifth slide, please? Yes, that's it. In this respect, the process that enables humans to mentally hold small amounts of information in a readily accessible state and to use them in complex cognitive tasks is known as working memory. Working memory, by definition, is a limited capacity cognitive system responsible for temporarily storing and manipulating information needed in the execution of complex cognitive tasks such as learning, reasoning, and comprehension. It is not unsurprising that working memory is one of the most widely researched constructs in education and psychology. The next slide, please. Students with diverse learning needs, including those with learning disabilities or attention difficulties, often face challenges in working memory capacity and efficiency. Universal design for learning, on the other hand, offers a proactive approach to address working memory capacity and efficiency by providing multiple means of representation, action, and engagement. The next slide, please. A child may try hard at school but still struggle to learn. In such cases, often the problem is not effort, the problem is working memory. Limitation in working memory capacity negatively impact cognition, development, and learning in child, typical and atypical populations, as they may impair a child's ability to extract information and learn the skills. The next slide, please. I conclude on a positive note that working memory difficulties can be addressed through targeted intervention, effective classroom management of working memory load, and the teaching of specific strategies by providing multiple means of representation, action, and engagement. The next slide, please. Yes, can you move to the next one? Thank you. The next slide, please. Yeah. In order to understand the relationship between working memory and academic performance, it is necessary to first provide some theoretical details. Badley's multi-component working memory, as you notice in this slide, is the best known and most researched and most widely accepted theoretical model. According to this model, and the one that guided the present study, working memory consists of 4 components. These components include separate verbal and visual spatial systems, the phonological loop and the visual spatial sketchpad, respectively, each of which has a limited capacity. The next slide, please. The phonological loop consists of a phonological store and an articulatory rehearsal system. These processes are responsible for integrating auditory information into meaningful sounds such as phonemes, words, and sentences. The next, please. The visual spatial sketchpad stores information that can be represented in terms of visual or spatial structure. These processes are critical for interpreting and integrating information from the visual world around us. Yes, please, the next one. The verbal and visual spatial storage components of working memory are overseen by a domain general component, the central executive. This is a shared attentional mechanism that controls encoding into the verbal and visual spatial stores and plays several regulatory roles, which include accessing information from long-term memory, paying attention, planning, inhibiting automatic behaviors, and simultaneously holding and processing information. The next one, please. The 4th component of working memory is the episodic buffer, which holds semantic information for short periods, binds phonological and visual spatial information, and integrates and consolidates information from long-term and immediate memory into coherent episodes. All of these components are critical for effective learning, with different tasks making differential demands on them. Yes, please. So reliance on working memory during learning is a feature of early childhood, when the young child doesn't have many learned skills such as alphabetic and numerical knowledge. Yes, please. Next one. So when faced with challenging cognitive tasks, children with low working memory tend to zone out or mentally wander from the task. Consequently, working memory problems are often identified as attention problems. Difficulty in maintaining attention is a typical feature of an overloaded working memory that cannot retain the information needed to complete an ongoing mental activity. As a result, these children often fail to follow instructions or abandon tasks quickly. In addition, children with poor working memories struggle particularly with tasks that have many simultaneous processing demands, such as remembering multi-part instructions and keeping track of multi-level tasks, such as listening and writing. Consequently, children with working memory difficulties may permanently lose information that forms a vital foundation for acquisition of knowledge and skills in important academic areas. They may also experience difficulty updating or refreshing information in memory. This would lead to difficulty in selecting and integrating relevant information in a particular academic subject. Finally, these children may battle when they need to mentally shift between concepts and information. For example, in mathematics, when they have to perform multi-digit operations that require shifting between mathematical procedures. Yes, please. Next one, please. So, to address these challenges, Universal Design for Learning offers a proactive approach by providing multiple means of representation, action, and engagement. Incorporating working memory strategies into UDL can benefit all students, including those with weak working memory, by optimizing instructional methods and materials to support working memory. Educators can enhance the accessibility and effectiveness of learning experiences for diverse learners. Here are some strategies for integrating working memory into universal design for learning. 1. Providing multiple means of representation. To accommodate diverse working memory capacities, educators can present information in various formats, such as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic representations. This approach allows students to select the format that best suits their working memory needs, ultimately enhancing their learning experiences. The second, offering multiple means of action and engagement. By providing alternative ways for students to demonstrate their understanding and knowledge, educators can accommodate individual differences in working memory. For example, allowing students to choose between writing, drawing, or presenting their ideas can cater to their working memory strengths and preferences. Number 3, emphasizing executive function skills. Working memory is closely related to executive functions, such as cognitive flexibility, inhibition, and planning. So integrating strategies that target these skills into universal design for learning-based instruction can further support students with diverse working memory capacity. The next slide, please. Children with limited working memory capabilities can be assessed through deliberate management of working memory loads in the classroom. In order to achieve this, the demands made on working memory by various classroom activities should first be determined. Activities may either be storage or storage and processing dependent. The next, please. And once the demands made on working memory by a particular classroom task have been determined, its part should be reduced and simplified into smaller components. Break down complex information into smaller, more manageable chunks. Present information in a logical sequence with clear transitions between steps. This approach reduces cognitive load and facilitates better retention and comprehension. Use visual aids such as diagrams, charts, and graphic organizers to supplement verbal instructions or explanations. This could involve writing in different inks or chalks, providing a visual cue for the child, or numbering written lines of text to help children keep their place. Visual supports help students visualize relationship between concepts and can aid in encoding information into long-term memory. Children with poor working memories find time tasks difficult and generally need more time to process information. For these children, thank you, instructions should be repeated frequently and at a slower pace, provide opportunities for repeated practice and review of key concepts and skills. Spaced repetition techniques where learning is spaced out over time can help reinforce memory, retention, and retrieval. Teach mnemonic devices and memory strategies to help students encode and retrieve information more effectively. Mnemonics such as acronyms, rhymes, or visualization techniques can assist in remembering complex information. Okay, could you please, because I don't have enough time, could you please move to the next one? And to avoid overtaxing a young child's working memory, the teachers should present only 1 or 2 items or ideas simultaneously and avoid giving unintegrated material to retain for long periods. It is also useful to monitor the child's working memory regularly during the execution of demanding activities and to get them to articulate what they found difficult about the task. Usually, the difficulties translate to problems with either storage or processing. This information should enable the educator to provide appropriate feedback and positive feedback on how to address these difficulties. Yes. Yes, the next one, please. A few general principles can be identified from the research on working memory training and generalized to the classroom situation. First, tasks used to train working memory should be varied. The skills acquisition literature indicates that variability in training fosters greater flexibility and likelihood of transfer. Second, the duration of training is important. Effective programs are time-intensive, comprising from 30 to 40 minutes per day, 5 days a week, for at least 5 weeks. Third, the difficulty level of the training task needs to be regularly adopted. Pitching tasks at a level that is far beyond the child's capabilities will demotivate them and discourage participation. Similarly, maintaining tasks at a level that doesn't challenge the child is unlikely to result in any working memory gains. The more explicit way of improving working memory involves the teaching of mentally effortful, goal-directed processes that are adopted to enhance memory performance or memory strategies. Next one, please. Working memory impairments are 6 times more likely to occur in children with special educational needs than in typically developing children. The last slide, please. Thank you. Could you please be patient with me? Yes. Without early intervention, working memory difficulties will not spontaneously correct as a child develops and will impede a child's likelihood of academic success. However, there is evidence that working memory functioning can be altered. Functional magnetic resonance imaging studies following working memory training have shown an increase in brain activity in the prefrontal and parietal areas of the brain, as well as changes in dopamine receptor density. This suggests that there is plasticity in the neural networks involved in working memory. Furthermore, these changes appear in the multimodal association cortices, which are parts of the brain that are not tied to any specific sensory modality, but are involved in a wide range of cognitive activities that tap working memory. Can I have 1 minute? Okay, so the conclusion. Integrating working memory strategies into universal design for learning represent a comprehensive approach to enhancing inclusive education practices. By addressing the specific needs of students with weak working memory, educators can create more accessible and equitable learning environments for all learners. Implementing these strategies requires collaboration among educators, administrators, and support staff to ensure that appropriate accommodations and supports are provided to meet the diverse needs of students. By prioritizing working memory within the UDL framework, educators can empower students to reach their full potential and foster a culture of inclusion and diversity in education. Thank you very much.